Hey y'all, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I don't know what time y'all gonna watch this, but it doesn't matter. Here we are in the day of night in another AJ's roundtable. And so I want to welcome back to my left to my left over here in the corner is Miss Ayana. Down to the bottom left, we got JJ, and then right under me is my twin, we got Ariel. So we just gonna jump right in because we have a lot of big feelings about this. And so I just feel like it's important that we talk about it. So three of us are LMHC, and then twin is our lone LCSW, which is fine because it's all cousins and we all kind of have similarities and big feelings about licensure processes and exams. So who wants to start? Actually, I take that back. John, you start.
Well, I gotta start. Okay, so which part? Like,
that's the question.
Okay, so first, so let's start here. So let's tell everybody. Ooh, let me put this back on the counter. Jesus. Everybody tell us where you are either in your licensure process or and let's start there. So John, where are you in your licensure process?
Okay, so I'm licensed graduate professional counselor LGPC in Maryland, District of Columbia. I'll be fully licensed in Maryland September 2023. Gonna slide that baby over for reciprocity in DC. Thank you very much. Get up out of these people's face, stop paying for supervision, we out the door, private practice, here we come, all that good stuff.
You know, technically you could do private practice now, but we're gonna go into that later.
Some people
we're gonna go into that later.
Okay.
All right, now Miss Ayana, where are you in your process?
So I'm in Ohio. So I'm an LPC, a licensed professional counselor, which is essentially same level of an LGPC in, the DMV.
Oh.
And all I need is to pass that test by the end of the year, Jesus, and so I can be LPCC.
And we claim it's already done.
Amen.
It's already done. All right, Miss Ariel.
I am in the lovely, beautiful, chaotic sunshine state of Florida. And I am a licensed clinical social worker. I am fully licensed.
Period.
Oh, yay. Awesome. So as you can see on my credentials, I put LMHC because I'm done. I'm just waiting on them sending my damn paper. So I had.
You should just try it out and just change it. Just try it out.
No, it's changed. It's there. It's there.
I refreshed the screen, so excuse me.
It's there. Because listen, I told you I'm tired of this waiting process. The waiting is the part that's killing me because I turned in everything on my end, but the licensed people, the state people that provide the testing materials or whatever, only send in testing scores once a month. I took my test September 8th. He told me middle October.
Thank God's timing is coming.
I'm not worried about it because it's already done. He was like, because as soon as I get that and put it in, he was like, I just got to issue the license. It's done. You did everything. So I'm like, oh, well, great. Thank you so much. So until I get my number, I'm still done. So it's just waiting. But so each of us are in different parts of our process. Some of us are done and fully licensed. Some of us are waiting on credentials, and then the rest of us are still in the process of getting fully licensed. Now, John, have you attempted to take the test yet? And which test do you have to take?
So for me in Maryland and DC, well, I'll start in Maryland. Maryland, I took the NCC while I was in school already. They had to hook up where you could take it at a discounted rate. So I passed on the first try, but we had to pay that $225, something ridiculous. I said, that's a discount. students, 225 is a discount?
It's a discount because it's $375 without it. Well, down here at least, and that was the NCMHCE.
I guess I should be grateful, but I'm like,
Okay, and also for people who don't know, because we're gonna use a lot of letters, LMHC, licensed mental health counselor, LCSW is licensed social worker, and then LPC is, you said it, but it's what now?
Licensed professional counselor. Oh, and sis, don't forget her big C for clinical.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
I
I'm sorry. Licensed clinical social worker.
You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting? When I get
Lord, my brain.
Ayana, I will have a LCPC in Maryland. DC will be LPC.
Yeah, so got my master's in DC, so I knew it was LGPC to LPC, and then when I moved to Ohio and got licensed, I thought it was kind of cool that I got to start out at LPC because I was like, ooh, because in DC I would technically feel like I was that girl.
So
but
I guess
take the national, the NCC, which is the national,
the NCE, which is the National Clinical Examination.
Okay, yeah, national, that one, NCE.
And so, Ayana, didn't you have to take both versions? Don't you have to take both versions?
Well, I already did. So I had to, in order to get my LPC, I had to take the NCE when I moved to Ohio, and that's what got me LPC. Now I have to take the NCMHCE, which is the National Clinical Mental Health
Counseling exam.
You have to take
right.
Why is that so freaking long? I don't know.
Know your letters, but I take that, and then I'll get my official. Like that's the end.
So,
Which
I'm
I guess
in regards
to your question, I have taken this test twice. And
that's okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, round 3 is gonna be okay. I'm gonna take the new version and claim it. It's gonna be different.
It's claimed. You already passed.
It's already done.
It's already done.
And I'm telling you, all you gotta do is just tell me what day you want to sit down, and we're gonna go through this test because I'm not playing with you. We're gonna you passing this test because this ain't gonna take my friend now. It's just not gonna happen.
Right.
I did have to take mine twice. The first time I had a full panic attack, in the middle of the test. So, I didn't realize that's what it was until I got mad and snapped out of it. And by then I had already failed. So,
you know what? That just popped in my head though. I don't think people understand the stress of taking an exam. Because a lot of us, we've been doing the work for so long and we know we're good clinicians, but that test weighs on you, whether you pass or not. It feels like it determines your future. And that's the fucked up part about it. Because there's amazing clinicians out there who have taken the test so many times and maybe they're just not good test takers. I know for fact I'm not. And it's still, they claim like, oh, we need clinicians. There's a shortage. And it's like, sometimes that test is holding us back.
Right.
And some people decide to go into a different career because that test is literally what stands between them and getting that license. And your restricted license has an expiration date, and sometimes they won't let you renew it. So then you have to start all over. So most people be like, "For that, I'd rather just go do something else." Right. Because there's, honestly speaking, there is no money without a license. You are not going to get the ability to negotiate a living wage or a living salary without a license. It's just impossible. But part of, because for me, sometimes I think about it, because me and Ayana went to the same school. I think about, and then like our clinical mental health counseling class, which we were all confused as to why that wasn't the first class you take when you get there. We took that probably like the second year in, right before we went into our like internship. So we were confused because if anything, the information you learned in that class tells you we had to do projects about the different requirements for each state. in order to get licensed, and what you needed, what you didn't need, or what the requirement was. I remember Florida, California, and New York were some of the hardest states to get licensed in, because New York wanted 3,000 hours, and none of your internship hours during your master's degree counted. And I think California was the same, and Florida was the same.
I think New Jersey
And
requires
then,
a lot of hours as well.
but it wasn't as much as
I can't remember how many, but I feel like it's up there.
I don't remember either. But then I get to Florida, and Florida only wanted 1,500 hours post grad, and then they wanted like 100 hours of supervision every other week. So it wasn't every week I had to be in supervision. It was every other week. But me and my supervisor was like, we'll just do it every week. It's fine. Right. If we don't meet every week, we still ahead of the curve anyway. But yeah, like, and a lot of the changes that was happening, like, it's just, they have two ways that you can get licensed here. It's through, what is it? One is through examination, and then one I think is through like endorsement or something weird like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, but it requires more documentation with the endorsement than it does for like I don't know. Yes. And then I think my biggest issue that I have with getting licensed is the amount of money that it takes to get licensed. And then the amount of money that you get paid as, not afterwards, but during that process. Because I don't know, Twin, how your process went, but like for me, I had to pay $150 to register as an intern with the state. And then we're not going to talk about how much it paid, like you had to pay for supervision. I was blessed. My supervision was $60 a month. So some people have a minimum of $60 a session, not a month. So, it gets a little.
Gonna tap into that. My first supervisor I had, it was $80 per supervision hour. So we're talking about, and that was a weekly basis, which is required.
Y'all are weekly? Shoot.
Per every 15 clinical hours, you have to have 1 hour supervision. So think about it. If I'm seeing,
if you're seeing 15, you have to do it every week.
People a week. And we're talking about, we're already not making money straight out of grad school. I don't know why people think we get our masters and they're like, oh, $90K, here we come. No.
Because for us, it's required to have a master's before you can even do any type of counseling whatsoever. So if you don't have a master's degree and you're doing counseling, that's illegal. And good luck getting your license once they find out. Like, it's
not, no, it shouldn't happen.
It's
but
wild.
You're not lying about the price. I thankfully, when I started at another agency, I got free supervision, most amazing supervisor ever. It was free, praise the Lord. And I used to just like throw her like, $100 like every 2 months or something like that for her time. But it's expensive. That's another thing people don't think about. It's not just the cost of the exam. It's not just grad school. Our field is constantly, we're paying. So for the exam, you're paying for test prep, you're paying for tutor, you're paying for all things.
You're paying for the test itself.
Right. Which is not cheap.
Yeah.
And then when you take it multiple times, you have to pay every time you take it.
Every single time.
That price is brutal too.
It is. I think immediately. It's no payment plan.
None whatsoever. You don't get any piece of a payment. Can I pay you tonight? No, you can pay this whole $275 today.
There is no quad pay, no karma pay. It's straight up. Put your card in. We're taking our $275. The end. Good luck.
And the fact that, again, I'm always gonna say this, and I'm so mad about this. I want to understand why we require so many hours of training and supervision, and police officers only need 6 months.
Let's
Somebody make it
talk
make
about
sense.
it.
Somebody make it make sense, because I have questions. You mean tell me I got to be in supervision for 2 years to counsel people?
Let's take it a step further. You can become a police officer with a high school diploma, not shaming anyone with a high school diploma. But again, the work that we do,
Right.
effort that we put in, and the mere fact these people have weapons and they are literally the power. Their power, if we want to be honest, is above ours.
The Baker Act, folk, they have the Baker
Right.
Act too.
And you
They
bring
get and if what I understand, but shout out to police officers, okay, they do the thing, but Baker Act courses are like a day course, like,
right.
And most times it's like a checklist sort of thing. Hey, recognize this, look at this, and then boom, here's your certification. Meanwhile, we have to get 2 years to be licensed to be able to do that independently.
Right. To even make that
And
decision.
we have to do so much. And it's like, I had this conversation with my therapist last week, and I was talking to her about the fact that it feels weird to be on this side of things, because now I don't have to study if I don't want to. I don't have to worry about another degree if I don't want to. I can very well be just fine in where I'm at for the rest of my life. And that's a lot of pressure off of me, but also my body is beat down, because now the reality of I don't have to keep going anymore is settled. So now I'm always tired because I haven't rested yet. Because think about it, for the last 10 years, let's just put it out there. I went to college in 2010.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do 12. Because it's 22, but I graduated from master's degree 4 years ago. Almost 4 years ago. You bachelor's degree. It was like, oh shit, I graduated with psychology degree. I don't know what I can do with that. Nothing. So let me go find me a little call center job while I go back to school. While I plan to go back to school, I go back to school 3 years, and then you have to register, find you a job, register, get your license. They give you 5 years to get it, but 2 of those years you're hitting the ground running.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, you can't register without a supervisor.
And that takes time to find a quality one. Let's not even get into that conversation.
That's not. That's not.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because I essentially had 2 therapists, because my therapy sessions was every other week. I was talking to her every week, and most of the time your supervision, you're talking about your clients, yes, but they're more so concerned about, okay, how are you taking all of this in, right, and how are you making sure that you're being your best self at all times? Because we also still have our personal lives. Mm-hmm. We still have our own thoughts and our own demons we working through. And most of the time, most of the clients we get are a reflection of what we haven't dealt with.
You could have preached.
So
don't start that.
I've been real preachy today.
Come on with the word from the Lord. Come on.
If y'all could have heard me earlier today, I was real preachy today. I don't understand what's going on. God is here. Welcome.
God doing what God do, amen.
Every time. And so I guess, I don't know, like, it's traumatizing in itself, the process that we go through, and they expect us to take on and pay for and show up for, mm-hmm, but then they don't want to pay us. Because my first salary out of grad school with student loans was 34.5. Now, I had a minimum of 25 clients on average. A minimum. And I was in a school of all places. And you want me to pay for, because then it's not like we can get full certifications without our licenses. Because I was like, oh, maybe I can be a registered sex therapist, or I can do play therapy. You can't do none of that without a license.
Nope.
You can't get credentialed in anything without a full license. But they're expecting you to go work with these different demographics and these different populations.
But don't forget, you can pay for the trainings at a discounted rate. You can go to them. You just can't apply any of that really, because you can't take it a step further. So you can really utilize those interventions. I hate to say it, the real thing that we don't want to talk about in the field is a business.
Oh, the profit.
Oh, baby, let's talk about the business.
It's a business, but we are at the end of the stick, and then they get mad and they don't want to teach us about private practice in grad school. That's why they try to all hit us with the community agency, because they want us. We got to earn our way to private practice. We got to earn our way to the elevation of actually being paid our worth, not because it's about the money, but because we have literally put in the time and the hours. But no, they want us to start at the bottom and just accept it. And then one day you go in private practice. One day you can start doing these things. And then they're mad now because we've all caught on to the game. And we realize, actually, no, as Black clinicians, we're not going to settle for, $20 an hour with a caseload of 50 in a community agency, just because you tell us that's what we're worth, fresh out of school, being registered interns. No,
absolutely not. There was a meme, I'm probably going to insert it somewhere, because that meme, I've never felt more seen. It was a car, and they were trying to stuff a big ass mattress in the back seat of the car. And it was just like, the car was the interns and the mattress was our caseload. Like, I've never felt more seen than that. Because even for us at our, so me and Ayana at the same internship as well. Diaries of Walter's Blame. Okay.
I'm weak.
Please write a book about it.
I think, no, like, I am so okay with making a documentary, because I should be compensated for my experience. Okay.
Emotional distress. 155%.
Completely. Okay. Because first of all, the agency shouldn't have been allowed. This is the thing about DC, Maryland, Virginia. Okay. Because they're 3 individual entities, people can get away with anything in those 3. Because what can work in Maryland won't work in DC, but what won't work in DC will work in Maryland. So our internship was originally, I should have known something was not on the up and up, because on our database, it said it was in DC. We get the interview while we going to Maryland, while we in District Heights. Why we in the hood in District Heights? Why am I in an abandoned building?
No, seriously. The building behind some fish place. Oh my God, that parking lot smelled disgusting.
It's giving finesse.
It was a straight, baby.
The biggest finesse.
First of all, let's talk about the fact that most of these community agencies were not started by mental health professionals.
Let's really get into it.
That's number one.
That's number one. So our internship was not started by a man who had any knowledge or any understanding of mental health and what goes into mental health. He said he don't like soli treatment. Now, before you scrunch your faces up, let me give you a definition. Let's park the car. Soli means solo, individual, one-to-one, me and the client in one room together. He does not agree with that system of mental health. I don't know what the fuck else
Can I tap in just 10 seconds of how I learned about that for my internship? Let me tell you why they don't like that, right? This is
Oh Lord.
hilarious because they can maximize, no shade, love the people with MBAs, but they love starting mental health practices. I'm very unsure about why that.
He didn't have one of those.
Oh, well,
he went to school for business.
yeah, it's always the
Never-
business people. And I love it, but I highly recommend getting some training, collaborating, co-creating with a mental health professional, but I digress. They like to do groups because groups means you can bill more and you get more money. Solo takes too much time. It's too much effort. It's less income. Them not realizing a lot of people, A, are not going to open up in a group immediately because strangers, and B, a lot of significant issues need to be addressed in individual, and they would benefit from both individual and group. But that's why they do it. It comes down to, again, profit.
Yeah. I was gonna say that man did not care about.
That would be great if that was what he was talking about. Like,
in a way,
he made no
wanted
sense.
it to be. It wasn't more. I think it definitely was about profit, which is why, if you want to make point two, the fact that his entire company was ran by interns that didn't get paid. But his idea why he was anti-SOLA treatment was because he felt like when we were working with clients, we should be contacting their family members to bring them to sessions, anti-HIPAA. Bring them in.
He wanted us
to make them a
yeah.
part of the treatment, not necessarily to where because that doesn't really change the billing code with them not being clients, especially not without even our clients.
Right. But you can bill higher for family therapy versus.
I don't think he was thinking about family therapy.
He wasn't thinking about therapy.
It was more so like they're not going to get better if their family isn't involved. And we're like,
it wasn't the problem. And this is how much he was trying to drive that point. Like he wanted us to he was telling us to ask about their preachers, their community leaders, like they were teachers.
Literally.
He was trying to get everybody.
They had neighbors that could come. I'm like,
neighbors?
He wanted.
Does he know what therapy is?
I think he know how much you get paid to provide therapy, because if we were to, if we could only know our clientele base and where they were coming from, he was like, "Oh, that's a guaranteed ticket to money."
Yeah, he had a contract with the city.
Oh, there we go.
Well, yep, there we go. That's how I answered it right there.
Right.
Yeah, and we still haven't gotten specific about what contract it was, but we'll tell y'all offline.
Oh, you know that.
But
under the table, I'll shake your hand and you shake mine. Verbal contract.
No, it wasn't bogus. It was not bogus at all.
No,
every person we got.
No, I ain't say bogus. I said it was pretty legit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was just like we have an understanding. And we capture the understanding on paper. You sign here, I sign there, but we know what it really is.
It was just weird because he wanted us to have a community meeting once a month to discuss the progress of that client. But he also was but the problem is he was trying to make mental health fit inside this 12-step program that he created in his head for his company. It was called something global, something.
But where's the support for the interns? That's what's crazy to me.
So our supervisor was there for like a month, and then he had some family emergency that happened that was like, and he left, and they were trying to get him to stay because the lady they brought in didn't do supervision at all. And so he probably commuted twice and was like, no, I'm not doing this, because it was 2 hours away.
Oh, wow.
He was going to Charlottesville, like Virginia. He was going to Virginia trying to balance it. He was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I need to be there.
Which I understand.
And then he tried to come back a little bit after, and then he just disappeared again, gone with the wind. Left halfway during the day, didn't say bye, didn't say nothing. He was there, then he wasn't. And then we were like,
I mean, not that he was an amazing supervisor anyway, because when you brought up like the stress of an intern, I think people don't I think people, one, don't give us as people enough credit when we seek this profession, like how serious we take it. I was terrified of my first session because this is like a real person with real
Real.
issues, and I'm the real professional, and I'm
Who's
supposed to come in
paying
here
real
and help
money?
you.
Like who's paying real money? Co-pay.
Right. And I'm like, that is so scary. And to think about that in him as a supervisor, one, our documents were just Word documents that we had to type
They were
on.
Word documents.
But I remember my first time sitting in with him while he did like an initial assessment issue, and he had me sit there, and he told them I was an intern, cool. And in the middle, by the time he got to the end of his questions, it was like, so you okay with her being your therapist? And I was like,
and then to make it even worse, that was in the morning. By the afternoon, it was another intake. You was in there by yourself doing
I was gonna
intake.
say that was your training. It was like you sat in with him, he asked some questions. He said, you cool with it? They say, yeah. And I'm like, so what's next? And he like, now you see people. And it was like, oh, that was it. Oh, that.
So I love the hands-on, but like, where's the?
He was the, you
and
know, that
he did not sit in. He did not sit in with you. He didn't give you no pointers. Nothing.
Story of like when that story people tell about, like, my daddy taught me how to swim. He threw me in the water, and I had to. That is him.
It was him. Yeah.
He said, and that threw you to the edge. He threw you in the middle. Swim the shore.
There's and I really think, because funny enough, y'all, I have an intern now under me, and so I'm really trying to like really give her everything I was blessed with, because I ain't gonna hold you. I had some, I'm gonna call her out, Michaela De Jesus. Listen here, she was at LMHC, but I had an LCSW that was there, but we're not gonna get into that. But I learned so much from her, and then I had my clinical supervisor, Brittany, who was an LCSW. Had those two really crafted who I became as a clinician, and I want that same. But people don't understand, like, yes, we need the hands-on, we need to try, but you can't just throw someone in without guidance. We're talking about people's lives, people's mental health. Like, it's a like what we do is beautiful, it's hard, and it's humbling, and we don't take it for granted. And then you just expect someone to figure out, and you don't want to fuck up like that. That's literally, people are already coming in with pain and things and chaos in their life. The last thing it needs to be in the therapeutic process is more chaos. And but I think a lot of agencies collab with these schools, and they give false promises, and they use us. And then
every time.
And then I think, even just thinking about him, it made me think about something that happened recently that I was talking with one of my other colleagues. Is I think a lot of supervisors then try to recreate that same cycle subconsciously, because like, well, that's how I was taught. But just because that's how you were taught doesn't mean we should keep that same cycle. We should be trying to create a supportive environment for the next generation of clinicians, so they can be the best.
And I really want to do that. I really want to do that, because I feel like with our situation, like, we ended up having to be our own supervision, and we would like schedule time in for us to sit down as like a throuple. Like, it was me, her, and our other friend, like our other classmate, Katie. We would sit down together. We would actually make sure we had like at least an hour to debrief each other about our clients, because we were taking on like some serious diagnoses. The dude, Tuesday at 11 a.m., major depressive disorder, severe with psychotic features. Bipolar 1, severe with psychotic, like, what? Nobody tells you how to handle that. Nobody was like, yeah, you read it in your textbook and it says, hey, these interventions work, but then they sit in front of you. Or my bipolar client showing up every other week because he was like, oh, I forgot. Nigga, you set the appointment. And it was crazy. Like, it was just so much. And it was like, I think the other thing was the support from the school. We would constantly, all three of us, constantly say, hey, we're not getting supervision. Hey, We were literally just thrown in. Some of our other classmates, it was like 6 weeks before they even got to see a client by themselves. Us, we were like, oh yeah, we got a full caseload, sweetheart. They were like, huh? Yeah. Week 3, full caseload. Full. Yeah. And so it was like, we would continue to be like, hey, this is what's happening. They would email or they would call. They would call and lie and say, oh no, they're getting supervision from so-and-so. We were like, we've never seen this person in our life. I couldn't tell you who that person was. And then the only thing that got our director upset was when they told us we couldn't put sanitary napkins in the trash can. We had to walk it outside to the trash can outside. Now you have a problem? Right. Now you want to come see the building? Ma'am.
And it's scary as an intern to stand up and speak out too. That's another thing people don't understand. Like, I know, people might be listening and be like, well, just report them. It's not that easy either.
Report them to who?
Exactly.
Right. I was gonna say that the chain of command of who do you even make those reports to?
Right.
I think that there's not like I feel like if we were gonna talk about schools liability, like when you're putting a list together of what your students should be looking for, you should personally
visit
they should go to each place. I need to see what this place looks like. Get a full rundown, vet your list.
Because you could tell they hadn't updated that list in a long time because they didn't even know that it was
somebody, even while we were there, would have showed up to see. If you would have saw where we were holding these sessions, I most of the time took the conference room because the office that I had
no door.
Have a door. So you can't really.
And mine had a door. Mine had a door, but it also had like the little visitor window. So if you wanted to. It had a concession window, so if you wanted to walk up and ask for something, and the reception desk was upstairs. So when you came in the building, you had to go upstairs to go to the reception building to come back downstairs to come see one of them.
I think even if we talk about even that, I think the safety that it puts us in,
absolutely,
not even just like the liability of the practice, making sure that we're providing quality services to these people. Luckily, I feel like they were all prayerfully helped in the best way that we could provide at the time. But when I think about like us being down there, it's not like people were coming down there doing routine checks. And then mind you, initially when we started, and not that women can't protect themselves, of course, but like we're all female interns all downstairs and we're seeing a vast variety of clients. All my clients were old enough to be either my daddy or my grandpa, and majority of men. You would need to at least provide some type of, I think the only time that even became a concern is when one of my clients like texted me and said I was cute. And then my supervisor stepped in and removed him so fast off my caseload. And I'm like, we could at least have a conversation about boundaries.
Right.
Like you're not even
helping
he was definitely those type of conversations.
He was definitely one of those like, nah, we're not doing that.
It was the girl actually. It was the lady supervisor.
Oh yeah. She wouldn't. I have my opinions on her, but we're not going to get on that soapbox. I'm really interested to see because I think John, I don't know. I think you had like the sweetest situation. I could be wrong, but what type are you in community agency or, and if so, how has that been in your world?
The ghetto.
Oh man, listen, I would say this on the back because I'm just replaying like, oh my god, they really ran off with the buck with us as interns. They really got it for the free, but
for the
free. Like we out here doing hard labor, stressing out, and it's
like progress notes, audits.
Listen, my bigger issue is why don't we
can have a whole thing about session.
We're not going to talk about it, but we're just going to say K-Crep, okay? Y'all need to revise K-Crep standards because why don't we have classes about, let's do proxy supervision, let's be each other's supervisor, let's actually talk about what to expect in supervisor, not us jump into internship and say, the supervisor, you check in with them, but we never know like how to navigate their process. Like I'm just trying to like
absolutely the whole curriculum for all our programs need to be
let's revamp that. And also, why aren't we teaching if folks are either going to take the NCC or the NCMHCE, right? Those are two major exams, right? Why aren't we guided through that throughout our whole course and just say, hey, this is a big exam that nobody prepares you for? But hey, you gotta take it to get
And
there.
also,
Why aren't we focusing on that?
which test is in
Right.
your region?
Yeah,
Because
listen.
our school
Why
in
I'm
DC
finding
is
out
telling us about DC tests.
there was a girl in our, well, several girls in my cohort who didn't know what exam that they were going to take, and they were in internship too. Like, you didn't look up what test you're going to take? Oh no, I'm just going to figure it out when I graduate. I say, honey, you how you like
Wow.
will make it happen. I'm like, but that lack of cohesion. But my particular program, not to down them, but they were sweet, but it was a little bit whitewashed. I was just like, y'all were catering to
A little bit.
demographics. I think that they sort of unintentionally pandered their teaching, their pedagogy to a certain type of demographic, which is reflective of our mental health field. You don't see all of us in the same room. You don't see all of us. It'll be 7 other people who are non-Black, and then maybe one person. And then that person somehow gets all the clients of color. Y'all clinicians, y'all can't handle clients of color? Y'all can have that conversation? Y'all can be uncomfortable? Y'all have to go to me?
No, of course not.
Right,
Why
no,
would you?
but and I'm saying, like, how, but as an intern, working in community-based organizations or community-based agencies where some of these clients were homeless or transient, I would see one this week, and then they'll say, hey, JJ, I'll see you in 4 weeks. Then my supervisor come to me and say, hey, why haven't you seen your clients? You need to see more clients. You want me to see a client that don't know if he got a roof over his head? Last thing he's going to do is come to therapy.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Nothing.
not on the priority of the hierarchy of needs.
And then they report back to your school and say, hey, they're not getting enough hours. I'm like, you put me in a community-based center where it's a drop-in center for people who are transient, unstably housed, some with HIV, and some who have like other chronic health conditions who can't adhere to their own health navigation because they have comorbidities happening and getting beat up when they leave here for therapy because some women were in DVs with their significant others, or vice versa, men in relationship with abusive women, leaving therapy literally to go back to their abusive relationships, and you are worried about them canceling an appointment 2 weeks in a row?
Right.
Isn't this reflective of real world stuff?
They don't even feel safe in their real life. So how are we really even
the fact that
a therapeutic process? Yeah.
Stop making therapy so damn profitable. Like, oh, this body's in this room, get your coin, right? But I'm like, this is a real person with like issues.
Right.
Cancel, they cancel, right? So teach us the nuances of what, don't have us expecting like our clients should show up every single week, or if not, it's gonna be something wrong with us.
Right.
Yeah, that's been the biggest thing with like my previous company. Like we were based on a school schedule. Y'all know, children and parents, if I'm in school, okay, you school, so when school over, this over. But you still want me to see them 12 months out of the year. It's the summertime. They trying to send these kids to their pawpaw, they nana, they meemaws. They trying to send them to summer camp overnight away from them. They are not trying to keep them at home once a week for an hour for some therapy because you want me to still have some numbers during the summertime.
Right.
It was just like, it's just so, there's so many different nuances.
Unrealistic
expectations. Absolutely. And before we wrap this up, because I feel like we've been talking a long time and we can continue to go on this for hours and hours and hours.
I'm gonna say we gotta do like a part 2 because we didn't even get to the
nitty gritty.
It went from let's talk about licensure and then like internship.
Because the internship is so important because I did not want to work with any adults for a good. I didn't start working with adults again until last year. Don't ask me.
The plug is the intern psyche. Like some of us are still shaking that intern psyche. Like,
for sure.
He's hitting on the note. Okay.
Like, how did I
just started 2 years ago with adults. Let's be honest. If they weren't 18 and under, baby, I was shaky boots.
Yeah.
It just is so much. And actually one of the biggest arguments I had with the lady that showed up after our supervisor was because she was upset with me because I was advocating for my 14-year-old client that did not want to add anybody to her community people. She's like, well, what did the mother say? The mother said if the daughter doesn't want it, she doesn't have to have it. She's like, well, she's a child. She doesn't know what she wants. Obviously, she does, since she said she didn't want it. And I looked that lady in the face. I said, so when she tells me no, what do you, I said, give me the words to say then. And what do you want me to tell the mother? Because if the mother says no, the child told you no, you think I'm gonna do it? And of course, Ayana and Katie just looking at me like, well, and they were looking at the lady because the lady was looking at them like, y'all not gonna stop her. No, no, you're not. Because I'm going to stand on this hill and die on it. If this child tells you she's not doing something, it's not happening. And actually, they used to pull us into these staff meetings and get on us because
it's this for me.
The whole vibe of this.
Because all your staff are interns.
Was interns.
That's why I'm really screaming, because I'm like, there was no staff. There was no salary.
It was us three, and then you could tell they clearly wasn't making enough money because in the next semester they got another school, and that school sent 3 more students. And we all, at that point, we was all rummaging through that building trying to find spaces to conduct.
And because we were already there, they weren't able to come and take over our offices unless we weren't there.
Fully staffed, full of interns, and it's giving lawsuit. But I digress.
No, but seriously.
No, but seriously, like, and they would pull us in there, so they would change stuff and wouldn't tell us, and then told us we were doing stuff wrong. And then they was like, we're looking at you guys' treatment plan, and there's nobody on these teams filled out. We were like, because they said no. Okay, but we need to tell them and we need to convince them. They said no.
Right. Not me convincing anybody anything about their treatment.
Right, because it's their
they saying no.
But also, where's the supervisor who's supposed to be looking over the treatment plans anyway? Because technically, we're not even supposed to be.
Because ain't nobody signed up on them treatment plans. All we did was do
it was the money man who would go through the documents and be like,
a money man with no clinical background. Crazy.
Because he actually got his funding and his ability to have that center in DC taken away. That's why he moved it to Maryland. And they were trying to get on us to get all of it up to code so he can move back to DC.
Yeah, no.
But you know what? This really does not. Last point, I got so much to say, but this does not really help establish like the credibility of our field when we're
right.
Like this doesn't make me like. I was telling my friends, I'm like, I don't know if I become fully licensed. Like, damn, will it be worth it? Like, what the fuck? Like, by the time I get there, I'm gonna be therapied out. I'm like, these people have relied on me as like an intern, right? And like they have done, like I can imagine if I had more proper training, right? As an intern, what it could have yielded, but even these people are coming back. And I'm like, all that interplay as well, it doesn't really help. And then folks who we know, communities of color, like medical mistress, like therapy is not a thing, right? We do so many other things. But and then that's sort of may imply like not harm to us, but we may think, well, damn, I can't argue with that logic, right? When my supervisor is not really reinforcing my strengths or my where I need opportunities to grow, right? That's why I think that K-curve could be revised. Like heck, like y'all need to add add private practice discussions in there, like courses about that. You create your own private practice. Let's run through it, like what things to negotiate, how to build.
That should be a class. I'm gonna be flat out. I think, to be honest, and I agree with you. It does burn you out, but I also think there's a fire that's burning within us, the clinicians that we are, because we can change this field.
I think that's why we're still here.
Yeah, we still we care, but I think we have the power to really cultivate something for the next generation. It's kind of like dealing with generational trauma, right? Like you might not see the root of what you're planting, like the crop of it, but the next generation, we can make it better for them. Better testing, better supervision, better requiring, again, the whole curriculum. This goes for every program. I had an amazing master's program. I loved my program. There was work that needed to be done though. Yeah. Like, again, there should be I agree. I love the idea of a private practice class. Create your own private practice. What would your mission statement be? What would this be? How would you learn about
like the whole class? Like you get it like, oh, I'm going
to there should be a class from the get-go about the exam. There's no reason why
or a class about the different options.
Yeah,
because some people may not want to do a private practice. Right. Some people might be comfortable with group practice.
But just to have that expertise, though, even to know how to, because our field, they don't teach us. It is business, though. It's not just there. Even if you are under an agency, you need to know billing codes. You need to know, make sure you're not getting fucking ripped off.
But I think that's why you're billing correctly. That's why we don't get taught about it. Like now that I've been talking more to my supervisor and we go, because to me, like, because they're so business minded, I'm like, I'm sorry, we're gonna marry the two. You don't get to talk to me about business without including the clinical
mental health.
part. But I'm like, we
Mhm.
don't get taught about the business because that would give us an upper hand when it comes to jobs, huh? But when it comes to jobs, if we come to you with business knowledge on top of our clinical knowledge, you're gonna be looking at us like,
We're
Bad
gonna
gotta
be
increase.
No.
Bad gotta
because
increase.
now I gotta really pay
sell.
you. Now I gotta
Right.
really pay you for what you're worth, and
Mhm.
you really know the ins and outs. I feel like the reason they can kind of lowball us is because we're so focused on the impact that we're gonna make and why we chose this profession and the
And we're
people.
just not worried
we're
about
like,
the business or the
Yeah,
money
I
of
don't,
it.
I don't need to worry
30K
about the
a
money.
year, $50,000 debt. Who cares? We're here
Right.
to
Oh
help.
my.
We love
That,
y'all.
World.
that matters none to the people I'm gonna help. And then you get in and you're like, wait a minute, bills are getting paid. Wait a minute.
Right. I'm in poverty and I'm trying to help my client. Like,
But also
Nothing
the
wrong
part
with
that
this.
got me, my second job, when I realized how much like you can fuck over a clinician and how once clinicians start making sense, heads will roll. Like when we started, so they decided to make this big thing. At first, we were getting paid hourly whether the client showed up or not. Then they were like, effective immediately, that's not going to work. So if they don't show up, if you're unlicensed, you get $8. If you are, you get 10. Now, mind you, they are charging these people
ridiculous.
$300 and something a month for weekly session, right? So if you break it down, it's between like $70 and $80 a session. I'm only getting paid. At the time, it was $35. But then to kind of supplement the fact that I'm not getting paid for the hour that I'm missing, you decided like, I'm gonna give you 40. I'm gonna give you $40. Oh, a whole $5, thanks. But you decided to, but then there's no penalty for the client if they don't show up for a session. They still pay their regular thing.
Yeah. And then
but then for us, so if you're telling me you getting $70, $80 per session, why am I only getting paid 40?
Well, also, twin, let's not forget the work we're doing goes outside of those hours. We're talking about referrals. We're talking about CEU. We're talking about if you have a certain client, people don't think about this when they think we just sit and talk to people all day. If you have a client who brings in a certain issue, I'm on peer-reviewed articles. I'm looking up training. Right. All of that stuff we're putting in, you're not getting paid for.
Oh, John, what's up? John, what's up?
We gotta stop because when she just said, I'm like, yeah, like it's not no, oh, I see it there. I see somebody for 50 minutes. Oh, no. The next week, that's it. No progress, no.
Or the fact that we
take sometimes documentation alone is
every 90 days.
A week's worth of work.
Yeah, treatment plans, discharge planning,
case conceptualization, diagnosis, psychopharmacology. They got a psychiatrist running through.
Let's not forget multidisciplinary teams, meetings.
I was gonna say,
and I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm in group private practice. You don't get paid for that. So you know how many times I meet on a weekly basis just with school case management, other support, guardian ad litems, and guess what? Those are hours I spend that are free. And again, it's not about the money, but people need to understand the work we do. Just like no one complains about doctors and everyone else getting their big bucks.
They come and see you for 15 minutes and then you go home.
Right.
But they get paid $200 for that.
Let's talk about
barely 15 minutes. Sometimes they just come in and tell you what you already knew.
Right. Right. You're a football player and you throw a ball for an hour and you're paid $20 million. The point is our work goes, these companies lowball us. You say 30K a year, but the work we're doing goes outside
or we should be
our regular hours.
And then
we should be satisfied with our salary.
And then who is on the other side of the insurance panels? Like these folks are the people who are actually like sending reimbursement back to private practices saying you bill major depressive disorder, you get a nice $133. Well, you charge $250, you get $100 back. And then
Right. Who's deciding that? And then on top of that, they want to tell you how much you should be billing, how long you should be billing.
Yes.
Like,
and if you
bill
bill more than an hour, they're not going to pay for that second hour. So let's wrap this song up for 50 minutes, shall we?
Right.
You know, working for a nonprofit, that when I found out that, so the nonprofit that I work for, we get contracts with the schools that we're in. Buku bank from a contract, on top of the fact that we also bill their insurance for the direct services, because that is how they track our productivity, and we have to bill so much. But then productivity, that's gonna have to be listen.
I said we gotta do it separate, because let's really talk about why does that even exist? Because
you determine my productivity based off how much money I'm making you. But you're gonna bill. So if I'm making like $20-something an hour, which is low as hell, $20-something an hour, but I'm billing $100 an hour with my license. That's $100 every time somebody sit with me for an hour. Don't let it be a group service, because now I'm billing you so much more, and I'm still only getting like $25.
Right. And can I just say how I got pissed off when I learned that when we do groups, even though they bill for the full hour, they only give us productivity credit for 30 minutes per child.
Yeah, because to them, they're like that. I just found that out from my job. They complain about the fact that when we do groups, like, oh, well, don't say that you work that much because you only did the group for an hour. Do you know how
but I work with 12 kids in one group.
Right, and let's talk about group prep again. And as an intern, it was giving borderline slavery to me. Like, I'm trying to make this group interactive. I'm trying to make sure the clients have resources they can take. You don't nothing. You don't give up for that.
Hold on.
You want to do 30? You want to do 30 minutes?
It's like every time somebody say reel it in, it's like you see a worm and you got to go get it. Like, another thing.
And my last thing, who's paying for these resources? Oh, we are. Because let me tell you, let's talk about all these books, worksheets.
Why am I paying for my certification again, like every week?
Our job gives us a budget for trainings that they reimburse us for, but I'm like, you're gonna tax my reimbursement. That is not a reimbursement.
I still have to pay for it at the end of the year, baby.
Like, I have to meet a year of service before you allow me to get trained. Like,
we could go
on. Wait. I'm gonna say this last thing. And we're gonna wrap this on up, because we're gonna go on tangent again.
You need to title it, we fed the fuck up.
Yeah, that's the title. Fed the fuck
AyJay's up. So this is the part where I said this is highway robbery, okay? Because this is why we went on the tangent, but it all encompasses the same thing, because the test, like the licensure process, is like the internship process, that in of itself. So you pay to register as an intern. You pay for your supervision. You pay to register and then take the exam. And if you don't pass it the first time, you pay for it every single solitary time. Now, of course, you don't have to pay for that re-registration fee of like, oh, hey, I just want to get, first of all, why the fuck am I getting permission to take an exam that I already got a motherfucking take? And then I had a problem because you want my motherfucking transcript
that I gotta pay for. Because why are we paying for transcripts when you should have took that out of my tuition because all the student loans? But that's another conversation.
But not even that.
Go to these schools, like, shouldn't we get like one for the free or two for the free for how much and things?
It should be a portal where I should get my transcripts.
Well, it's like $7, but like $7 I could have put in my
$12 each time.
Yeah, like, and you gotta send it electronically.
For our NCC scores, like up here, like to get it 2 days is like $75. To get it full is $25. These people need.
I'm sorry, hold on, because TCSPP only charged me $7, and I emailed them to them. So
no.
The three of us went to the same school. So
it's $7 for the electronic version. It was the one I just did the other day because I had to pay to get them again for a freaking certification. It was $12, and they wanted both degrees. I'm like, who's paying for this?
And $12 sounds a lot, but again, it goes back to how much are we getting paid currently? And
Right,
Okay,
because technically,
okay, so
paying for both, that was $12 twice. That was a whole hour of my money spent in 2
No,
seconds.
I mean like the national, like the NCC to send it to like the board to get your initial license.
oh, you got to pay to send it to the board.
yes,
Oh,
Yeah, it was $75.
and they don't always
Day
accept
delivery.
electronic. I'm gonna
And
tell you
then
right now.
I had to send it twice for DC because the lady said, "Oh, even if we got it, it may take me 2 months to try to find it." Try to find it? What? How many boards are there in DC?
Let's talk about how the civilians that work in these state offices
Don't care. Like,
because
girl, give me my
playing with
license.
me.
Stop playing with me. Print that paper out.
That's why I
And
called
it's
because
irritating
y'all
because
didn't
the
send
money
it
is
to me.
not coming to your pocket. You're
I
not getting the
will
money.
pull up. Talking about just do it again. Just do it again.
Oh,
I
sis, you
could
need
have
to
got
find that
some
paper.
food. I will pull up because y'all put the address there. I'll pull up. Print my paper. Let's go. Let's go.
We
Because
therapeutic, but we duck if we duck.
Period.
every single
And
time
that's
I'm rolling
intervention.
out. Every time. But no, so because okay, so this is my issue, right? So you paid to register as an intern. You have to be registered as an intern to take the exam here, or you have to be registered as an intern somewhere to even register for the exam. But then you still want my transcript after that. So I gotta pay to send you some more transcripts to get approved to take a test that you said I have to take in the first place. Then you gotta pay then you gotta pay for that. Once you pass the test, then you have to pay again for the full license and then resend all the documents all over
again. And real quick, I just want to add, and God forbid, do not let your supervisor pass away or move, because that's a whole nother brothel of you doing everything all over again. And that has happened to some
my supervisor, that was like one of the first things we talked about. She was just like, I'm gonna just sign it every week,
right?
Because she said somebody had this happen where their supervisor passed away, and they hadn't signed anything, and they had to start all over.
They had to start their process, y'all. They were already 2 years, and they had to do it all over again from the beginning. Can you imagine putting in that time, and your supervisor, God bless their soul, decide it was time to go to glory, and now you got to do it all over again?
Who do you?
God gonna have to forgive me because you're gonna need to get up. You need to get up now.
Oh, I'm forging. I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I remember a piece of paper she signed.
Or find a signature somewhere and copy and paste that bitch on now. But who's gonna do that?
Edit that part out because we don't do that.
Yeah, we don't do that.
We don't do that.
We can understand, like, we have empathy towards somebody who made us do that.
Yeah, but it comes down to the stress. This is not an easy process, and people act like it is.
We gotta grow up, y'all, because we just did a whole comedy show for last.
I mean, I definitely get it though. My supervisor, she stopped working with us. I said, "What's your personal email?" Because
I know. Listen, that's what I did with mine. And guess what? When she left, I followed her. Where we going, sis?
Yeah, where we going?
We write them messages. As soon as she got it done,
mine left during the pandemic. She left our company during the pandemic. I said, that's fine because we talk to each other every week, ma'am. You want to FaceTime? You want to talk on the phone?
Baby, you still licensed? Your license still good? Okay, bet. You still gonna sign up on this hour?
Right.
That's all we need. That's all
I'm not worried.
You know why we're here.
Okay. So clearly, guys, we have a lot of trauma from our experiences, and so when we talk to our clients,
for real. Jesus.
Yeah, I gotta process with my therapist this week, y'all. We gotta get this out.
Ooh, because I need some wine.
We definitely try to do our best to model, but y'all can already see we are
fed up,
struggling, and tired. Okay, and so when I hear people, I just want this to be very clear, and I think I'm going to take this clip because it's at the end anyway, and I'm going to post it on Instagram, and I'm going to make it very much clear to my friends and family. This is why we will not take you on as clients. This is why we will not give you free therapy. One, it's unethical. One. Two, since y'all think we just sit and talk for an hour, I'm not going to give you shit. Praise God.
Right. In the name of Jesus. It's a no.
In the name. It's a no for me.
Love.
The blood and the
with all the love in the world.
But
like
package for you, right? It's not happening.
Like it's the amount of things that we have, the amount of training, the amount of money, the amount of time, the amount of stress, the amount of trauma that we have to experience to show up and be the clinicians that sit in front of you guys, it takes more than just sitting down and talking to you for an hour. It takes more than that. And we went on a tangent to explain the licensure process because it's literally a process of interning.
Yeah.
And
It's literally, you graduate from your master's degree, congratulations, but now you need to do this. It's hazing.
Let's talk.
It's
I mean,
hazing.
let's call it what it is.
We can't talk
It's
about
hazing. But so if they tell you they don't haze, they're lying. Okay, they're lying, and I just want that to be known and understood that therapists get hazed in the worst way. It is a mind fuck of the biggest mind fucks, and so this is to be continued. I don't know if we'll be able to make it till the end of next month. We'll try to figure it out and do scheduling because this part 2 needs to happen, guys. There's still so many things we haven't gotten to, but we all tired. So I appreciate you guys for watching. I know this is probably long-winded, but I don't care. If you want to know more about us and you want to know more about like why we fight so hard for our clients and why we fight so hard to stay in this profession that treats us like shit, and still be open and honest about it, is because we love what we do and we want better for not only ourselves but for our clients. So,
and we're good at it.
Period.
That part. I'm that girl, okay?
Hello.
But yeah, guys, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Code Switchin Pod. If you haven't been watching the podcast, I don't know what rock you're under, but hey, good job, welcome. And yeah, I really enjoy doing these with you guys because there's just so much to talk about, and I'm so glad I have like clinical friends that look like me and we can have these conversations. So yeah, guys, bye.
Bye.
Okay, stop recording now. Thanks.